the new things that I'm putting out there this year, something new. Many of you already know about it. It is the Kerry Thomas's Visual Handicapping, Derby 150. And before I get into that in the course and things I just wrote, I wanted to start off by saying a big thank you to, this is the first year I'm doing a Derby report on my own completely. The last, since 2011, I had the privilege and honor to work with my, at the time for THT Bloodstock, business partner, Pete Dink. I got to give a shout out to Pete. It's a whole lot different doing it by myself. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving how it's coming together, and I love starting a new era, but I really can't move on forward without saying thank you to Pete. And he knows this, we've talked about this, but the company has officially dissolved THT Bloodstock, and I've started something new. He's off to something new. We had a great run together. That said, I want to share with you the new things that I'm got going on. And this year for the Kentucky Derby, I'm putting together, like I said earlier, the Kerry Thomas's Visual Handicapping, which is going to be a new thing I think I'm going to be continuing to work on and provide. Breeders' Cup Classic is certainly on my thought to do this process for that race, and maybe some more, maybe a lot more. We'll see how it goes. But this year's format is going to be different, and my main focus on the horses this year, which has always been my main focus, but really want to bring it home, is to identify and share with you the characteristics that make them who they are. I mean, to me, the most fascinating part of horses, we know what they are, the numbers are important, all the figures are obviously important, the pedigree is important, all those things certainly play a vital role in postulating outcome, whether you're handicapping a race or whether you're actually looking to buy a horse, or, hey, is this horse compatible for my discipline? But, the process of identifying athletes, there's a lot to it. And this year's Derby analysis, I'm looking at the comparative strengths and the vulnerabilities, the strength versus the vulnerabilities that make up the characteristics of who they are, the psychological performance profile. To me, that's the fascinating part, is the evaluation of an athlete's ability to merge physical and psychological characteristics effectively, especially under pressure. This assessment considers individual strengths and weaknesses in sensory perception, athletic proficiency, and the capacity to handle competitive stress without succumbing to mental fatigue before physical exhaustion. This is so important. We know about physical exhaustion. I mean, horses are trained to physically compete, but it's the distance is one thing, but duration is the other. A horse measures distance in duration, especially when it comes to psychological fatigue. And I separated the horses this year. I did not look at them in bulk until the final product. But their individual competitive edge rating is the aggregate of information, their strengths, their vulnerabilities, how they handle all the stresses from how physically capable they are. Are they physically the type of horse that has to outrun themselves? Because that's important to know. Or are they the type of horse that impresses themselves upon their environment? How do they respond to the chaos and stresses, especially that you cannot mimic, but they are inherent in competition, especially in high level competition. And the thing of it is, I look at growth patterns. Psychological growth patterns are so important. Keep an eye on this when you're looking, because you have to break down the film footage, and I give a lot of examples of this year in the report, where you can go back and I give you points in film on some of these horses that I wanted you to see. Stop the film, take a look at this at minute, or 30 seconds, 34 seconds, freeze frame the film and take a look at what's happening there. Look at the countenance, look at the body structure, and something else I'm pointing out this year that I may not have really brought to fruition, but I'm always learning more. Looking at how a horse distributes their emotional energy is just vital. Like, one thing I noticed this year that I thought, I need to point this out, because these are the things I'm looking at when I'm evaluating horses, whether I'm looking at an Olympic prospect or someone's backyard pony for trail hacking or a show jump or a dressage or whatever the case may be, anywhere around the world. I'm looking at how that emotional energy is being distributed, and they lose a lot of energy sometimes how they hit the ground. Okay, we think about physical pressure and physical inertia, but it takes a lot of down pressure psychologically to push down. And if a horse is pushing down just to get kicked back up, like a ball coming off of concrete, just imagine, we know the concussion that happens physically, and how much of a pounding that takes on the horse's body, but a lot of times they're physically able to run themselves through that. But how much emotional energy does it take? If you're light on your feet, my dad used to say dish rag loose. If you're light on your feet, you kind of skip across the ground, and your energy is not being poured into the surface through your body, pushing down. It's like, how much intensity do you have? So the competitive edge is being able to take that emotional intensity inherent in the individual dynamic and funnel that forward fluently, that mind-to-body fluency, I always mark down my little notes on a sale card, if I'm looking at horses at a sale, is either M/B or B/M. And I talk about this, in the course, I talk about this in this year's Derby report, this analysis this year, but that is the mind ahead of the body, or is the body ahead of the mind? The sensory system is so important. So important. I cannot stress how important that is. That is what clears the space for the body to move through. That is the difference between a horse becoming subordinate and needing to outsource, like, oh, I don't know what's going on, please tell me, or like, get out of my way, open the door, I'm coming through. If you're not going to open the door, I'm going to open the door myself. That is that clearance, how effective. And the sensory system needs to be compatible with the discipline. It needs to operate in clear space at least twice as fast as the body's moving. And that allows the body to be fluent. That is all part of energy distribution. It's a part of the sensory lead changes. And one of the cool things that I put this year I put into the Art of Visual Handicapping course is you get a free downloadable. You get to keep it. It's a downloadable map. If anybody's been familiar with my work in sensory soundness, I have a whole course working on that. The first lesson is now available as well. Understanding sensory soundness. There is a sensory soundness map. You can see it on our store. As a matter of fact, I had the privilege of going to Australia twice last year to do a series of presentations on sensory soundness and herdodynamics. To great response, and I'm so thankful for that. I have to give a shout out to my friends in Australia, Dr. Shelley Appleton, Calm, Willing, Confident Horses. Check her out, Dr. Shelley Appleton, Calm, Willing, Confident Horses. She's incredible, a great friend, a great trainer, and a great visionary. Very progressive thinker, and just an amazing person I had a chance to work with in Australia, who kind of paved the way for me over there and abroad. And it's really exciting, and her partner, Simon, just incredible people. What they've done and how hard they work of helping people and horses is tremendous. And if you haven't been familiar with it, go to our website, look at the podcast, and I would be, check them out. If you haven't listened to those podcasts before and you're interested in learning more about all of these things, you don't have to be just a horse player to want to learn about horses. There's a whole lot more to it. But the more you learn about the horse, the more chiseled it's going to be your craft in picking out winners. I mean, it just makes sense, right? You need to learn all the different nuances. You spend a ton of time and money investing in the sheets, the rags, all the physical data, and like I said, it's very important. You have to employ that. I employ that. I make that a part of my evaluation process, but it's not my primary focus because, first of all, the operating system runs that machine. I want to know the characteristics of that operating system before I worry about a whole lot at that machine. Because again, it's very important for me to know, am I looking at a horse that's going to have to outrun themselves? Then the physical horse becomes more important to me. If I look at a sensory system, or if I look at herd structure or a herd dynamic power rating or a competitive edge that's not, if I have a competitive edge that's a C, how can I get that horse to be a C+? It's going to have to kick into the physical horse, okay? And when you're looking at this, at these ratings, you got to keep that in mind. And a lot of exciting stuff. I was promising myself to keep this clip under 20 minutes, and I'm going to try to do that. So I'm going to cut it off right now because I still have a few more horses to do before the final Derby report. It's going to be on Brisnet again this year. Kerry Thomas's Visual Handicapping Derby 150, partnering with Brisnet. I want to thank them for inviting me back, to continue our relationship. And I'm looking forward to continuing to progress and they make this better for you every single year. Every time you get something from me, I want it to be better than before because, you deserve that. You're buying something from me. You damn well better get the best effort that I can give you at the time I'm doing it. And I can promise you that I'll always do what I did. And it's taken me a lot of time, but I know it's worth it, is that I focused on every single horse. I didn't care if they were the number one prospect going into the Derby, or the horse that was also eligible, I'm giving 100% of my attention and time and a full day or plus of effort into studying that horse. And my process is I study the film, I take notes on my chicken scratch, this here, and then I take that chicken scratch and I swirl it around in my pea brain for a while. I think about the horses. I think about the different scenarios. I think about what I see. I want to feel it, because you feel the athlete before you see it. What did I feel? What did I feel? One thing I like to do when I'm looking at horses at a horse sale is I like the horse to tell me who they are by me closing my eyes and me listening to them and letting myself feel their presence. Can I feel their presence? What does their cadence sound like? And what does their cadence feel like? These are important characteristics. I have, over the years, chiseled this down into identifying a large amount of these characteristics through video, and all the work that you get, all the information you get from the Derby Report is from video, as most of you know. So anyhow, I'm going to close it for that. I appreciate your support. I hope you check it out. And I really encourage you to get the course as well, because there's a lot of information in there, not just for handicapping horses, but if you're looking to identify characteristics of greatness, of what makes an athlete, what takes a horse from being just athletic to being an athlete. It's right here. And in the new course, I go through a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm going to continue to expand on that. There's lots of things I want to do to have as an appendix to that, but I encourage you to get started on that. It's really worth your effort. I mean, there's 30 years of my life poured into that work. There's 30 years of my life poured into this year's Derby analysis from a visual handicapping standpoint. And I'm really excited to start a new era. I'm certainly appreciative and will always cherish the past. But it's we all move on, we all go forward, and I'm excited to go forward with you. And please enjoy a visit to the new website, kerrymthomas.com. That's my name. It's easy to remember. And have a look around. We have a lot of cool stuff. I thank Daphne, who's my everything, who handles everything behind the scenes on the website. We've done a lot of great updates. We've added, I wasn't going to add until after the Derby, the thoroughbred services, but I put them back in there. I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to help you continue to find the best horses in the world, whether you are into thoroughbred racing, or you're dressage, or you're show jumping, or you want to look for that very best horse that's good for you to take a trail ride. We have lots of services for that, and this information is applicable to everything because it's about the horse. It's about the horse. So visit the website, check out Life Through the Senses Education Center. Check out the YouTube channel as you have right here. Tell your friends, and let's keep marching forward. We both have the same goal. We both want to learn what's great for the horses. We want to do what's right for the horses. And I think, it is our responsibility to understand the horses' characteristics, not their responsibility to understand our characteristics or our nature. It's our job to understand them and to help create better environments for them and more productive environments for them, not just during their athletic career, before it and after it. It's very important. And if we know the characteristics of the horses in general and herd structure, and then we understand the individual horse's unique and idiosyncratic characteristics, which is what I'm giving you with these evaluations, it's what you get with an evaluation, it brings a lot more, it brings a lot of clarity. And it helps us to be the bridge and not the block for the horse's future. So with that, I'll close out. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I babble on, but I'm very passionate and very excited. So at least you got that going, right? Enjoy the Derby. A safe trip to everybody. I'm going to kick back in to finish the work, and I'll see you next time. Take care.